A reminder to use risk capital you can afford to lose if you are playing this game. E for eminywizard.com and marketwizards.com. The 15-minute chart and the 10-minute chart seem to indicate that we are still pressing upside. I said I didn't think we'll get a big move short or long. You can see the 10 to 15, pretty good proxy right now. You can see how overnight climbed up above the rain line, and we've stayed there. Once you do that, you know that it's a trend type move. This is a contra to the last couple of trading days in last week. It's a squeeze type trade. Really wanted a little bit better odds for a buy, come back down into that 52 to 53 area. Sometimes if you miss your trade and you say, they're not giving me what I want, you have to do what we call a chase trade, and you kind of just jump in. It's the opposite of what we do on the way down, where you just kind of, waterfalls going, you take the heat for a few minutes, and then the trade pans out. I wasn't expecting that we'd get this big of a push early today on top of what we already had. I said I thought we could buy the pullback, but I thought it would be more choppy than this. This come out stronger than I expected, certainly. And the targets, we said they're going to try to bump into that 71 and a quarter, take that out if they can, and try to test 74, 75. 75 and a quarter idea. That's like we posted earlier this morning. That's a very important test. Let's look at this from another perspective. So this is a squeeze type trade. Trap shorts are evacuating their positions. And this is one reason we said sit sidelines for a couple of minutes. See, normally the best odds are obviously coming short. But today, I had felt that that 62 area was going to be a very important idea. And once we punch through that, you can see that's another breakout, really. And we knocked out the demon. So your dynamite triangle is here. This is the one that held everybody captive. We said that was our support, 50, 52. But never really got a good opportunity to jump in. You've got to be a bot. And I still think this may be for distribution today, but time will tell. And we can see this third time through trade right here where we said this 55s, our target was 55 to probably not get past 52s, we said, because of this breakout. That was our initial target. And then we thought still the idea of the bounce, but maybe more chop. But this has come out, taken out the high. So you've got to give it, credit for having the strength to do that. And now this is another third time through trade. This one may be a little bit harder to hang on to on the upside. But the attempt obviously is to break this box. And then back here is our half gap area support, obviously, for now. And preordained pre-market, we said if you get to the 72s, make sure you're paid, because that should be their target zone, 72 to 75 and a quarter. And this is that overhead resistance. We said that the boys will try to bust through here and knock these stops out. So we're in this box, like we said, this 55, 56 area, key area. And that's based on this prior week's range. So our support box for now is back here. We said this 55, 52 area. and attempting to bust out of this box. I think it'll take a little time, and can we hang on to it? Best shorts may come at lunchtime today. I'm still thinking anything we take short side is a nibble against this. We call this a rabid dog day because we know that the market has reversed. We can see that. So our reversal has come from back in here. 48's especially important. And now the question is, after all this, do we get some backing and filling? And I think it's a two-way day. I just think for now we have to respect that the longs have squeezed some shorts, made them pay up this IB. I would not trust the breakouts today up here once we get above, if we get above 75. I think that 78 area going to be a tough area to break. So for now, let's figure that 75 to 78 resistance, and the boys trying to get above 72. Paid for sure. And I like to have, this is our 1 minute chart. I like to have a reason when I suggest something like that. And I'm remembering this 10-minute chart, the 15-minute chart. So I'm going to, somewhere in between there. I figure this is the next resistance zone that obviously needs to punch through. So paid 72 to 75 if you're long, and probably can buy one more time today on the long side. But we are ahead of ourselves, so we can see that. And the best trade for the longs is to try to bump stops, even if they can't hold it, but to try to pressure the shorts to back off, drop their positions, and then maybe resume another pullback. We said today we wanted to see if the pattern was going to change. We've had lower highs and lower lows. Today would be an interesting day. We wanted to see what happens, and we're going to give it some time. And hit and run if you're going to play. And if you don't want to play today's open, don't worry about it. There's plenty of trading days. As I said, today is a tough open. Because we knew the shorts had to pay up. Question is how far that squeeze would go. And it came out a little bit hotter, a little bit faster than I thought it would. So stolen range, I'm still thinking stolen range. And it's going to take time for this to cool off. So don't expect a plunge. Anybody that, thanks, Don. Anybody who did get long, make sure you're paid. If you said, the heck with it, I'm just going to be a bot and buy. I still think it very aggressive buy today if you had to buy up here at that 56 area. You could see it on the charts, but it's just still a very aggressive open. And there's some days where the odds, you think the odds are the short, but it doesn't work. And that's okay. Which is why I said say sidelines probably the best thing to do this morning. Give a little time to put a range out there and see what they wanted to do with it. And here's our RTH. If we go back and you look at the post earlier about where our first targets were short side, we had used this idea right there. Make sure your paid come in 56, 55s. You can see that we really couldn't penetrate much below that. That was based on this chart we talked about. And then we talked about this chart for our 74 to 75 resistance targets, because we're in this box right now. Tough when you have this kind of a range and you have all this done overnight. That's what we call stolen range. Because if you're sleeping and you really didn't participate in any of this move, just the way it is. So all that range is stolen, meaning we didn't get a chance to play it. And you could if you decide you wanted to stay up and play or whatever, but certainly I didn't. Remember the goal. Try to take out a few points here and there in the market. It's a business. It's not a video game. Like today, if you get 2 points, short side, probably done well. 3 points, whippy. Get a 5, 6 pointer, normal against this type of a push. See, we're ahead of ourselves. So if you took a short, obviously there's a profit-taking move from anybody long side. Make sure you're paid in the 64 to 62, because that's got to be the aggressive support right now. Shorts have to undo. And obviously, IB low is support until broken. And we said, let's think of 52s as support. Long's trying to get to 72 to 75. Come a long way. Going to need time for this to cool off. It's a squeeze type trade. There's a 10-minute chart and a 15. We want to watch today. Stolen range days aren't much fun because you can see the points and you say, wow, how come I can't do better than this? But they're hard. Because basically where the market left off to up here, good portion of the range has not been available to do anything with when you sleep through it. And jury's still out. By that I mean, this is a dead cat bounce day. We've had a terrific sell-off. So you can't think that this is anything more than obviously a knee-jerk reaction And as Zeke pointed out, the news, but news changes all the time. So my thought was that we'll give the long some time, but I don't want to buy into the idea that they're all magnificent and powerful right now, because we know the damage that's been done. You know, we've had one heck of a sell-off here. So whether the longs want to admit that or not, this is really a retest. Year open 75 and a quarter. We're going to keep our eye on that today. Very, very important going forwards, as is the next line up here for last year's high. Okay, so we want to keep an eye today on that prior overnight high. Below that, we're obviously trying to find support. Suggested get paid by 72 to 75 if you are long. And we said on the short side, get paid 63, 62 and a half. If you're playing short side, and I think hit and run. Coming into rising moving averages, like this on the 15. So I'm still not gung-ho long side that it's going to be a powerhouse. I do like to see 3 sets. Here's 1, here's 2. Could make 1 more. I think the best way to trade this, if you're going to trade it, is think about nibble short side and don't think about a big plunge. If you do play long side with today's trend, don't assume that it's going to be a keeper all day. And I think we should use that 62 as our pivot for now. It just makes sense. Get a couple of points, get out of the way.